control. Her gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm thrilled you're here with me. Thank you so much for being here. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about the many faces of the paranormal. And the paranormal, of course, takes many forms, from creatures to ghosts to beings and everything in between. And as we're moving towards the Halloween season, it's getting just a little bit spookier out there. So hang on to your seats, because we're going in. Hold on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we're back at it. And I really apologize for the false start earlier. I just realized that I hadn't actually made a show tile for our YouTube broadcast, and it was actually just going to recycle the old one. So now I got show shrapnel out there that I'll have to clear up after this. But it just all for just laughs and giggles, I guess. But it was all Doc's fault, of course. He started a dialogue with us on MeWe, and it was just too funny. And then I realized it was showtime, so I just kind of launched it and went, doop. So I don't like when I do that. So anyway, it is what it is. But here we are. This is the Paranormal Portal. I am your host, Brent Thomas, and of course I am joined by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Longbeard. Don Longbeard, welcome to the show.
This is me addressing the camera.
Well done.
Thank you. Hey, so what? It's Wednesday, huh? Hump day?
Hump day.
Yeah.
Hump days.
Definitely.
It is Hump Days Eve, everybody. You are well on your way to the weekend, which is good.
Thank God.
I hope your week's been great. It's been a busy week for me. Been good. How's yours going, Don?
You know, I'm sure glad this week is. I got 2 short days. I had 2 long days the last 2 days. I got 2 short days this coming up tomorrow and Friday, and then, well, no, actually Friday's a long day. Dang it. Never mind, my week sucks.
Never mind. It just got worse. What do you do?
Oh, well.
I just clipped on the broadcast audio. It was like went red line. I can't do Homer really close to the mic. It'll screw it up.
Your Homer spikes it, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't know that, but seems to work. But anyway, everything seems to be go ahead. Tonight we're going to talk about the many faces of the paranormal, ladies and gentlemen, and I know there's lots of ideas and lots of theories out there, and of course we've discussed a lot of theories and ideas here on the show over the 2 years we've been at this, or 2.5. Where are we at, Don?
Let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We're actually a year and a half with me on the show, and then 2.5 for you.
2.5 for me, ladies and
there you
gentlemen.
go.
So I'm nearing veteran status here in the paranormal,
Woo-hoo!
which is kind of cool.
Wow,
It's,
you're almost 100% vested.
Almost got credibility now, Don.
He's got show cred.
I can literally say I've been at this for years, and in all my years of study, I can start using that now.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that's not embellishing at all. So that's good. But it's over the years we've talked about a lot of different things, a lot of ideas, and I don't think we're any closer to understanding what the hell all this stuff is, even with all that dialogue. But I can tell you, it's been a hell of a journey and a lot of fun, and the participation as more and more people are finding the show. The things that you guys are bringing to the show is absolutely incredible. You guys are bringing your experiences, your ideas, your thoughts to add to this body of knowledge and this body of experience that we're working with here on the portal, and it's just been really incredible. I do have to apologize to MCAT. He was in our area, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd love to meet," and we really wanted to, and I'm so sorry, brother.
Couldn't make it.
We would have loved to have been able to do that. Unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of notice, which is, I understand in your deal that you don't always get a lot of notice on what you're going to be doing or where you are. But next time you're in our area, please let me know. We'll make sure to meet with you, get together. It would be something that we would absolutely love to do, but we just weren't able to make it fly this time. Yeah. And, hopefully we can. But that would have been an awesome experience. But you guys have brought something incredible to the show as you guys are finding us, as you guys are taking a part of the conversation and adding to the conversation, not only with your ideas, your hypotheses, but your experiences.
Right.
The things that you guys have seen and been through has done so much to educate me. And so I got to thank you guys for continuing to be a part. You guys are essentially the other host of the show, the other part of what we're doing. So, and probably the biggest part, to be honest with you. I think you guys have brought an amazing flavor to the show, and I'm absolutely indebted to you for that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about the many faces of the paranormal tonight, and hopefully what the hell was that?
Absolutely. The face is paranormal. Paranormal face.
That is a paranormal face, that's for sure.
Oh, goodness.
Sorry, that was cheap and easy. I get them while they're free, Don. I'm an opportunist. I got to admit it. But
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
That'll be a first.
Well, here.
Yeah, I can mute you and help you.
No, that's all right. No.
I'm just kidding.
I'm okay tonight. I'm okay.
So far we're good, ladies and gentlemen. But that's going to be our show topic for tonight. It's kind of a cornucopia of ideas and phenomena. Now, as we're nearing the Halloween Soween festival, or however you pronounce it, there's about 15 different variations of it. But the ideas, of course, are that we are in a cycle of thinning of the barriers between this world and the next world. I don't think it's quite that easy, though. I don't think it's just this world and something else that's next. Like, I think there's many, many, many worlds and dimensions and things that we just can't even quite understand yet. But perhaps the barriers are thinning for all of them.
Yeah.
It's not just this world and where we go after we die.
Right.
But it could be that as well. And so I think this is a time when a lot of people notice a lot of things. Now, when after Chris and Sheree were on the show, I went over to their channel and spent, I don't know, it was only about 15 or 20 minutes. I had to go because I had to tuck in the minion and stuff, but we were talking about a little bit about UFOs. And one thing that I'm hearing is that there's a trend. The trend is that there's less reports coming in about the UFO phenomena than ever. And I've not substantiated that. I've not validated that. But apparently there's a downtrend of the amount of sightings. Now, an interesting point that was brought up there, and I would have to corroborate this, and that's one of the many faces of the paranormal, so that's why I'm discussing it, of course. But the idea was presented, and I thought it was Chris, but maybe not, as I recall. But the suggestion was made, well, maybe they're just better at hiding from us now, or they feel like they need to.
Right.
And that's a possibility because, as I've related many times about my experience, I didn't see them in the native spectrum of light. I could only see them in infrared through those infrared binoculars. And so to me, that's what substantiated it as an otherworld intelligence or an intelligence that we weren't familiar with, because I don't necessarily believe that we have that technology yet. We may, and it may have been some advanced DARPA kind of craft. I don't know. But perhaps they are better. Perhaps more of them are cloaking that way and not being visible. That is certainly a possibility. But I think the amount of people witnessing spiritual entities is on the uprise. And again, that could be a statistical anomaly based upon the fact that just more people are comfortable talking about it than ever before. That could be one part of it. That more people feel like they can have that discussion without being, ostracized,
right,
or treated like, absolute crazy.
You're
yeah,
nuts.
Right.
What the heck are you talking about?
That it's not dangerous to say those things anymore.
Shut up, Don.
Yeah, it was like social suicide to say, "Hey, I saw a ghost the other day," back in the days. But now it's like, "Oh, really cool," because there's so many avenues and people having these discussions that never have before.
Right.
But of course, the Bigfoot community is alive and thriving, as diverse as that is. By diverse, I mean unfortunately there's one byproduct of paranormal research, and this is especially true, and it could be true of many other fields too. I haven't heard of it so much division and vitriol as in the Bigfoot community, though. There just seems to be so many people jabbing each other.
Yep.
And because of differing viewpoints and differing ideas of what these things might be. And unfortunately, none of us know for sure, because none of us are, dragging one in and saying, here they are, look. But there's the idea that they are as smart as us. They are the same intelligence as us, perhaps even more intelligent. There are people that believe they are extraterrestrial themselves.
Right.
There are people that believe they are extra-dimensional and can phase in and out and disappear and do all kinds of, really bizarre things that are hard to understand. And then there are the people that believe that they're just an undiscovered relic hominid that's still around, but chooses our absence. And honestly, I would have to say that I fall into the latter camp for the most part. I don't discount the possibility of those other things existing, but it's easiest for me on an intellectual level to wrap my head around the idea that these are just things out there that haven't been discovered yet.
Right.
That they're out there, they don't choose to be around us, and they're much better at being out there than we are, so it's not hard for them to avoid us unless they don't care. And once in a while, they just don't seem to care. There's reports come in of it just walked across my yard, looked in my window, saw me looking at it, and just shrugged and kept on going. It doesn't even care.
Exactly.
Like, it wasn't like, oh, God, they see me and running. It was just like, whatever.
Great, another one saw me.
Yeah, whatever.
Got to call me on my bees.
Yeah.
Look at this flashy thing.
And then discussions with Jim Bear King is talking about them counting coup, where perhaps some of the times they're witnessed is actually the more juvenile ones just going, hey, watch this. I'm going to get coup for this. I'm going to get like extra credit
Street
or bravery.
Cred.
Yeah, like street cred. Exactly.
my force cred.
And so perhaps when they are actually observed, it's not an anomaly. It's just that they just thought they would just go ahead and go for it. Kind of like a teenager,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Like as adults, it'd be like, I may be able to jump over that creek, but I'm not gonna. And then there's the kid who'll go, hey, watch this. And he'll try anyway, no matter what's going to happen. And that's the, maybe the difference.
Right.
But again, I'm not saying that those other possibilities aren't there. It's just harder to wrap my head around it. And in retrospect, or in a more holistic view, does it really matter if they can phase or not at this point? Doesn't the existence or the possible existence of whatever they are outweigh us arguing over semantics that we have no way to prove?
Right.
There's so many people getting caught up in the ideologies of what these things are. And to me, the biggest thing is, let's just show that they are first.
Right.
And then whatever they turn out to be, we can figure out later. Don't get hung up on these semantics of, well, they're really smart. They can, hypnotize you. They can walk through dimensions and disappear at will, magically. And or they're just really camouflaged naturally because they're wearing a ghillie suit by nature, and it's just, you know what I mean, Don?
Yeah.
It's the idea of people arguing over that. And so that's really tough in the paranormal community. And I think it does more to harm the research than to help it. And there's a lot of people putting a lot of time, sweat, tears, and effort and blood into this game. But unfortunately, there's so much backfighting and people undermining each other that nowhere near the progress is being made that could be made if there was some kind of cooperation.
Right. Well, and that's what I've said before is, we are our biggest discreditors. We are our biggest debunkers,
right.
Because we're always, if people, well, let me clarify, people in this zone, in this particular paradigm, always stab at each other in the back or talking mess,
right.
discrediting each other. And it's like, it's just like anything else. You've got to come together and come to a decision. And, there's got to be a symposium of, hey, we got to make this thing work. If people are going to quit calling us crazy,
right,
we got to stop acting crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So,
but, while you were talking, it reminded me of this story. Did you hear about the, after Mount St. Helens blew up, 1980, 81, it was like May 18th.
Yep.
Anyhow, did you hear about the supposed story that the Army was out looking for the Bigfoot, and they had a Bigfoot guide showing them where they could find enclaves of Bigfoots that may be trapped on the mountain or injured in the during the explosion? I've
heard about that kind of thing. I don't know many of the details, and it's one of those legendary stories that it's hard to substantiate in any level. But is it possible? Now, I really do believe that the government is well aware of these things.
Oh, yeah.
I don't for an instant doubt that. I don't know what the motivation to not letting them be discovered is. But I do have a theory about that, but it's way out there. And
no way.
This is where the X-Files music should be cued. Now, here's my thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is me coming in at total woo factor, as it were, as Kev would say, Kev Baker.
Yeah.
This is me going full woo here on the portal, and I don't usually do this, but here's what I'm thinking, is that the government knows about these things, and it doesn't talk about them. It doesn't acknowledge their existence. It shuts down any serious investigation of them because. And here's the because. Now, if you look at the history of military industrial complexes and their involvement in establishing a superior fighting machine. Okay, you look at Project Paperclip, which happened at the end of World War II. Now, this is me going way out there. So get your tinfoil, ladies and gentlemen.
He's getting the conspiracy on.
I'm going full conspiracy here. And there is no way I can substantiate anything about this. So don't worry yourself. Don't lose any sleep over it, because it's just me just going, why? How
and
come?
There's going to be that one person. One of the foremost experiencers, Brent Thomas.
Yeah, well,
you know what he said, huh?
Exactly. But this soundbite is now preserved on YouTube. So my disclaimer is that this is just me throwing out
there
an incredibly fantastical, bizarre idea. But okay, here it is. So again, Project Paperclip is where we imported a bunch of Nazi scientists and developers, such as Werner von Braun and many others, with the Project Paperclip, where they, after Germany was defeated, we brought them over here, and they went to work. Werner von Braun, of course, worked for NASA and helped develop
and Disney too,
and Disney. But helped to develop our space program through rocket science and stuff, because the Germany was much ahead of us, way far ahead of us on jet technology and development, and we're doing some amazing things at a very early age. But other scientists came along too. And if you look at supposed, and it might just be propaganda, but as I understand it, there was a really concerted effort on the part of the Nazi war machine to crossbreed humans with apes, like gorillas or great apes, to create a strong, absolutely fierce fighting machine. That same ideology was apparently utilized by Stalin in Russia to try to merge the human with an ape or gorilla. Have you heard of this, Don?
Yeah, I've heard something about it. Yeah, I've
Right.
not
So
heard
that's what
any.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. There are, of course, genetic sciences out there, but there are express international laws and treaties about the merging of human genome with animals of any kind. That's just been totally forbidden, banned across the board.
Right.
But if you have a species that doesn't exist, does it qualify as illegal? Now, here's the thing: there are recorded examples, at least claimed examples, of there being crossbred children as the result of females being victimized by a male, quote unquote, Bigfoot or whatever you want to call it. The Yaren in China. There's a video out on YouTube, and it's an old footage, probably from the 50s or 70s or 60s, somewhere in there, of a woman claimed that she was living in the mountains of China in her village.
Yep.
And was abducted by a Yaren, which is the Chinese equivalent of a Bigfoot, and was taken advantage of several times. She was able to escape, came back to her village, but she was pregnant, had the child, and this child was apparently much taller, had longer arms, had a protruding brow, sloped head, not quite conical, but almost. His arms were incredibly long for his size. He never learned to talk, but was apparently, allegedly, incredibly strong. And there is footage of this child or this man that you can find on YouTube. And I would.
Oh, you're talking about that where they're parading him down the road, and he's just this huge.
No, that's from Japan, and that's a whole nother thing.
Oh, okay.
This one is from China. Just look up hybrid Bigfoot hybrid children or Bigfoot hybrid people, and you'll see these videos pop up, and it's not really. It's more like it's not black and white, but it's like really poor old color.
Oh yeah, I got it right
and
here.
you watch that kid, that man move.
Here it is.
And he looks much more primate than person. Is all I can say. Now this is acclaimed, and of course there's lots of detractors. Oh, the woman just didn't want to admit she had premarital relations with somebody and whatever. But the claim is that she was actually impregnated by a Yaren, and this child is the offspring. Now there is a story coming out of Russia of the same thing, of a woman named Zana, and she was an Alma, basically the Russian version of what people understand a Bigfoot to be, and she was captured and put into a pit for 3 years until they broke her spirit.
Right.
And then she was often visited by the men in the village and would become regularly impregnated by them and had offspring, most of which would die because she would take them down to the river as soon as they were born and rinse them.
Yeah.
And just the cold water would kill the children. But when she finally did have a child, then they took the child away, and it became this whole line of people that were reported to have very exaggerated features like large jaws, big foreheads, and extraordinarily strong for people. And you can find that information out there. So what I'm saying is there's allegedly proof or claims of successful crossbreeding between humans and this Bigfoot type creatures. So could that be the catalyst for them remaining not real, for them not acknowledging the potential of them to be real? Because once they become real, they would become subject to international law regarding genetic manipulation and crossbreeding. So I'm just putting it out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, actually, you've mentioned that before, but you've never put it in that sense of the high conspiracy. You've talked about how you think that they know they're there and they don't release it because then it would make it illegal to, it goes against the Geneva Conventions about, you're right, the biological, misproliferation of DNA and things like that.
There you go.
So yeah, absolutely. And I found that video and I dropped it in the YouTube link. So if somebody wants to watch it in there, it's there.
Okay.
Of the Chinese man.
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting how you put that together. You've never even told me that it has anything to do with Project Paperclip, but I was, or with the idea of Project Paperclip. But I was just checking out Project Paperclip
Uh-huh.
and looking up some of the names of the scientists that came over in that. And actually, I'm sitting at the CIA, CIA.gov right now, Library Center for Intelligence and Public Intelligence Literature, Operation Paperclip, the secret intelligence program to bring Nazi scientists to America. They brought almost 200 scientists over. Von Braun is mentioned here. Kurt Dubas.
Mm-hmm.
Strughold, Guinan, Kurt Blom. But they don't really talk about too many others. They also talk about Operation Bluebird was born. Bluebird later called MK Ultra,
Mm-hmm.
which was a research activity experiment in behavioral engineering of humans. But they don't really talk about anything about biology or any biologists that
Right.
came over, So I was kind of looking for something like that.
Well, allegedly, another thing that was another scientist that was brought over
Mm-hmm.
was a scientist. Now, get this, and this is now, once you hear this and you go, wait a minute, that's happened. There was a scientist who was researching methods of infecting parasitical insects with diseases and letting them go out into the wild and propagate, and then, of course, attack the people. As a way of a biological form of warfare.
Like AIDS.
And he was specifically investigating how to propagate Lyme disease. And when you look at that, and then where did this all of a sudden ticks carry Lyme disease?
Yeah.
I mean, where the hell did that come from? It just appeared. Well, is that somebody continuing that work? A scientist that was brought over, continuing that work, and then releasing it. Now, whether you believe in the whole idea, are they trying to control population? Is that part of the motivation behind all of this stuff? And I don't like to get real deep into this stuff on the Paranormal Portal
Right.
because, of course, the's just
It's
no
not
way
what
to
we're
know.
about,
It's
yeah.
not what we're about. But I just think that there's something to be said for at least looking at possibilities. Now, I don't ever like invest in anything full bore on this kind of stuff because the problem is that I can listen to hundreds of people talk about this stuff and throwing facts and ideas around, and while they may seem plausible, I am neither capable of nor willing to invest the amount of personal research it would take to prove or disprove any of those things. And it's not in my wheelhouse, quite honestly.
right.
I mean, it's things that I hear, things that I put into my head as I'm thinking of all these things. Why would a government not acknowledge a species that has thousands and thousands of reports? There's hundreds and hundreds of tracks cast. Hair samples, genetic samples, recordings, photographic evidence to some degree or another. Now, granted, not a lot of great photographic evidence, but it's out there. At least you would think would suggest or imply an aggressive scientific study. But even then, could you trust it? Because if it, again, is motivated by anything less than altruistic, are you ever going to find the truth, even if it was? Because science can be bought and paid for, depending on who's paying for the science.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's the other thing.
You get the results that you pay for.
Right. That's why smoking wasn't dangerous until
Yeah.
until lawsuits and states started forming lawsuits
Right.
across the board that suddenly smoking became dangerous. But before, they had science to prove that it wasn't dangerous. So it's the conundrum we're in. And again, this is just me talking about the many faces of the paranormal, but this is definitely one of the faces.
Definitely.
And on the Paranormal Portal, we have discussions. We have discussions. I can try to aim the show at something, but we can end up somewhere else completely, and that's okay. That's all part of the journey. So
That's the way we work.
that's how we roll up in here. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
that's how it's played. But generally, these are the many faces. This is the many things out there. But I just think it's cool that people are having the discussions. I think it's cool that we can have a show about these topics. And I think it's even cooler that you guys are here
Yeah, no
paying
doubt.
attention.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Now talk to my wife.
Oh boy.
See if we can spread this around.
No doubt.
I'm just
All
kidding.
of this messy love.
Oh, I know. It's hard to sometimes get the attention. No,
Yeah.
I'm just being a
Speaking of
dork.
attention, we've got 34 people watching us on YouTube tonight.
Wow, great guys.
That's
Thank you.
actually awesome. Now, if we could just get 34 likes, it's only 20 more.
It's only 20. We have 14 likes.
We only have four.
Apparently,
yes, we have 14 likes. Yes.
apparently 20 of them don't like what we're saying. Is that possible?
I don't know.
Maybe
because
they have been talking to my wife.
But yeah, so I mean, and then you want to talk about many faces of paranormal. You can always talk about obviously aliens,
Right.
and there's the grays, the tall grays, the draconians. Supposedly there's different types of draconian. Just all kinds. The insects, the mantis, the this, the that, the other. And all it really boils down to in that case is just that there are some other weird races out there other than humankind. And, it's one of those things that really need to be delved into, I mean, as you say, you didn't go as far as saying Bigfoot is an interdimensional being. However, when you talk about aliens, you certainly have to consider that possibility. So
Absolutely, and it's out there. I mean, there's certainly plenty of people that do
yeah.
that do believe that that's possible, and I can't say they're wrong. That's the one thing about the paranormal is there's no absolutes.
Right.
This is at best, it's a thought experiment,
Right.
as Brooks likes to say. I mean, the paranormal is a thought experiment because there's no way to validate any
Right.
of it.
Well, and that's very, 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 very true with any kind of investigating of anything paranormal, whether it be Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, apparitions, apports, deports, whatever that is, poltergeist, whatever, because that's something that skeptics have pushed for a long, long time. Because one, you have to have for scientific verification, you have to be able to replicate it.
But can you? That's
Yeah, and yeah, replicate it. You have to prove it through, unimpeachable means, and we can't. We just really can't because unfortunately, paranormal has more to deal with random, instances than there is, a planned pattern or a way to achieve. That's like Stephen Greer, speaking of aliens, CE5s, you call them, they will come, well, if it was that easy, then we'd know that there are aliens, I mean, if you stand out there and chant and ring your bells and, there's a whole list of ways to begin a CE5 session. And, a lot of it's meditation, some of it's, so there's all different kinds of ways, but it's not replicable. It doesn't produce the same results every time. And that's the issue.
right.
So-
And well, I think that's also the problem with science is that, first of all, it doesn't seem to be a lot of motivation to, truly investigate.
I wonder
these.
if that has something to do with your Bigfoot theory.
Well, it could be, and I don't know if it's like what was it Tesla said, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this
Yeah.
about what is it when people actively investigate the energetic or non-physical, then we'll make more strides than we ever have in the history of our civilizations.
Hold up, I'm looking up Tesla quotes.
I'm really killing. I'm really destroying.
Okay, so
it.
the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than all of the previous centuries of existence.
There you go. And
There you go.
I believe he's right. I really do because again, and I oftentimes repeat myself on the show, and it makes me feel obviously. I don't mean to imply that I don't have more to say, but I think these are really paramount parts of what we talk about is that, God, now I forgot what I was going to say. Derp. I was, forget it. It went right out of my head. But anyway, this is our show. Oh, I was going to talk about science. The idea is that can you ever get a truly objective scientific study on something like this?
No.
And I don't believe you can.
Because of what we just said.
Well, and the other part of it is that for there to be a truly objective scientific study,
enough people have to be interested in it.
They would have to be objective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true enough.
And so many scientists are not.
Yeah.
They've already got their solutions figured out. They've already got their outcomes in their mind, and that's the only thing I think that many of them would accept. Now, if we do indeed create a reality, which I think we do,
right,
that whatever we energize, we project out becomes our reality, then that's what they will find, because they've created that reality, and every test they did is only going to reaffirm what they've created,
Right.
So you've got to have objective scientists to have an objective scientific inquiry in order to, find whether or not there is truth to this. Now, as a person that's experienced many different phenomena in my lifetime, I can tell you that I don't need the validation of a science to say that that's true. And maybe that's the direction that we're going, is that we're learning to operate and exist on a more intuitive level, because if anything, the recent events have shown you is that
we really don't know nothing.
You can't trust anything people are saying, because it's always spun with an agenda. Everything is spun with an agenda. So there isn't that ability to have such blind trust.
Right.
So anyway. But we're going to get into that and more, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the discussion. What?
Doc says, me and Don need validation. Don, let's build a Ghostbuster car and tour America looking for answers. We'll be, yes, that's a great idea. We'll be like the paranormal pickers.
So my only question to that is, why wasn't I invited?
Well, because you're a believer. Me and Doc are a peas in a pod.
Yeah, but you need a believer to aim you.
Or else we're wandering aimlessly. Okay, yes. Fine. Doc, we've got it. So it's got to be the Adventures of Doc and Don and Brent.
No, I get top billing too.
I'll build a still in the back.
Brent's Adventures with Doc and Don.
No. That's more like Bill and Ted's Adventure at that point.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing, So-Crates?
So-Crates. Hey, So-Crates.
Hey, So-Crates.
Right on. All right. So
regular girl says that's a great idea.
We can do the paranormal tour of America.
That would be actually really cool.
It would be.
And I got a perfect limo driver for us too. His name's MCAT. He's been everywhere.
Has been everywhere. That man has laid more rubber on the face of America than I think anybody I know. Really.
What do you call it? A good year?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay, anyhow.
It could be.
Wow, so we've been Bigfoot, we've been aliens. Now what, Brent?
We are going to just continue on our journey, and we'll share some accounts.
Okay.
And I do want to state that on Friday night, of course, we will be joined by the wonderful Mrs. Deborah Varner here on the portal, and she will be doing live call-in readings, ladies and gentlemen.
The only place you can get them for free anymore.
Yeah, I'm telling you what. Yep. They say nothing's free anymore, but they haven't been to the portal.
That's because you got to put up with the pain of the portal first.
The pain of the portal?
It's an enjoyable pain.
Oh, we're not. I hope it's just enjoyable. I hope it's not painful at all. I know it's a. You never know what's going to happen next on the portal. I'll tell you that. We are running the ghost application tonight as well.
Oh yeah, and it hasn't been doing nothing lately.
Nothing lately. It's been extraordinarily quiet, which is. Actually, a little disappointing.
Well, you've been burning frankincense again, haven't you?
Yeah, but I hadn't before, and it was flatlining then too. So
it's flat.
But actually, that does, to me, it lends it more credibility that there's something to it.
Right.
And I don't pretend to know. I've never backwards engineered it, nor would I be capable of doing that with the programming to see what algorithms they're using or whatever. But just the few times it has done and said something. Some of those have been incredibly profound to the discussion we were having, which, to me is more than a
But
statistical anomaly.
But it added that humor each
Right.
time.
Yeah, and that was really fun. And
Oh my goodness, MCAT's in Nebraska. He was just in Idaho.
God, man, that man moves.
Wow. Miles Valley
Do
is
you get
excellent.
frequent driver miles?
No doubt. Yeah.
You get a free car after a while.
Wow.
All right, so let's get into some stories, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see if we can entertain you. Entertain you. So here we go. Now, on tonight's show, we're going to be covering everything. Of course, ghosts as well. But whatever we cover, you're along for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go.
Buckle up. Let's go.
My brother picked me up at work one night, and it was a Friday night, as I recall, and we were getting ready to hit the clubs and meet some friends. To hype us, he cranked up the volume. Oh, I thought you were
Just
snapping
dancing.
to try to get my attention.
No.
All right, don't.
That'll
do it.
be like.
Yeah, no. All right, to hype us up, he cranked up the volume and turned on the bass in the car, and we were dancing and being really crazy. And the next thing I knew, red and blue lights were flashing behind us from
course.
really far distance. My brother saw it too, so he lowered the sound and hit the gas. Oh no! To get away from the cop. Within a blink of an eye, the police car caught up with us already, and he pulled us over for the music being extraordinarily loud. And I was really afraid of hearing a lecture from my parents that I didn't pay attention to the cop. My brother was swearing the entire time. For sure, my parents were going to take away our driving privileges. We didn't go out that night. We kept this away from my parents, and I worked my tail off to pay for that ticket. That Friday, when I got my paycheck, we headed to the courthouse to pay the ticket. And when we got there to the front desk, the lady said we could pay for it with her. I was pulling out money to pay the ticket. Then suddenly the lady was laughing, and she said I didn't need to pay for it because the police officer who gave us the ticket had been dead for a long time on Lilydale Drive.
Wow.
She said there's a lot of people who come time to pay for the tickets issued by this deceased officer, and she still gets amused from it.
Wow.
This is Lilydale in the Twin Cities, Minnesota area. Wow. That is crazy.
I got pulled over by a dead cop. That's how bad of a driver I am. Goodness.
My driving's so bad, I'm even waking to death.
Oh, goodness, yeah. Wow.
That is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. So apparently you can continue your profession even on the hereafter. That is pretty cool. Little creepy, though. Little creepy. But it's nice to know that it was, a free ticket.
Yeah, it was a free. This is your only get out of jail card one time.
Now,
buddy.
the interesting thing, though, is, okay, let's look at this. Let's unpack this, ladies and gentlemen, because for them to get a citation means that they have a piece of material that was fabricated from a spirit.
Yeah, true.
That was absolutely created or manifest. Now, as most people would just dismiss this as, wow, that's a creepy ghost story. Here's the thing. They have in their possession something that was absolutely created by...
Something that was manifested.
Yeah, manifested.
Mm-hmm.
And it was created. I mean, they have something that would be, at the very least, transdimensional. But how would that be to examine that? Would it be exactly the same as a piece of paper that would be acquired through mundane means or citations from a living officer's book, or would there be differences? I mean, this is the kind of thing. It's like to hold something like that is to, in many ways, hold the Holy Grail. I mean, you're looking and holding something that, by all intents and purposes, should not exist. So, should it be studied? Should it be dissected? Should it be, analyzed in every possible manner to find out how that was done? And is that, now I oftentimes say the paranormal is the breadcrumbs to the potential possibilities of the reality we live in. I mean, that's profound as hell.
Right. I'm reading over your shoulder.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Because I'm scanning the story, going, when did this happen? When It's because unless it's in the body of the story, you don't know when it happens.
Right.
So unfortunately,
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, it could have
Yeah.
been from, I don't know how old this person is. I know, I can see the date when it was
when
recorded,
it was submitted. Yeah.
but I have no idea when
Yeah.
when this actually happened.
Because that it goes along with the question of, well, did that officer die in the 50s, and what did their
right,
ticket book look like
yeah.
you were saying, what did it look like compared to the
Right.
modern ones? Was it one piece of paper, or was it a duplicate piece with a canary,
Right.
with a canary, here's your canary yellow one, and the goldenrod goes with me, screw you, buddy. So, I mean, yeah, it's a really interesting question. I hadn't even thought about that, and apparently this person hadn't either.
Right.
They're just so I got this thing. Well,
right.
if I was that lady that was taking the tickets, I'd say, don't worry about it. I'll just take it, turn around, sell it on eBay.
Right. This is a ghost ticket. I mean, they're selling ghost poop, right?
Yeah, why not?
Which are those little styrofoam peanuts?
That's
Ghost
crazy.
poop, and they're worth $2 apparently. So,
Apparently.
what would a ghost ticket be worth?
Yeah, no doubt.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Just saying. I don't know. It's that to me is incredible.
Right.
Absolutely incredible. And it is amazingly profound to have in your hands something that was manifested. Now, is that then just in a port? Is that just a specific port?
Yeah, I was wondering if that would be, the
Right.
way, is it deporting from like the old files,
Right.
in the courthouse
Mhm.
into that person's hand? But how would it change the names? How would it,
I don't know.
I mean, well, there's a possibility there's another Don Longbeard somewhere in the world.
I don't know about that. There can be only one.
Thank God.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm waiting for my quickening now.
I'm going to leave that all the way the hell alone.
So, but yeah, crazy. Yeah, I hadn't thought about the the value of the manifest ticket itself. Yeah, it's a great question.
That is craziness. I just realized something.
Oh,
And I'm going to have to go out in my yard and investigate tomorrow. I was rolling around in the leaves with my little minion,
Dominion.
and it appears I've lost my apport.
Uh-oh. No way.
Yes.
The agate?
The agate. It's gone.
Uh-oh.
I know where it is, though. And I was rolling out in the leaves with them. I found my car key on the floor.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that my agate's going to be out there, too.
Oh, God.
But I did rake the leaves up and put them in the street, so I hope it's still around.
Wow.
That would be a tragedy to lose that.
I can imagine.
Yeah, of course, that's something precious to me. It was something that I believe came from my grandfather, who I
Right.
never knew in life. So I hope I didn't actually lose it. But if I did, then, I see the way I look at those things is I love having it. I love having it as a reminder. I love having it as a symbol. But if it is missing and I never find it again, then I'm grateful for the experience of having it.
Right.
It's just a thing at the end of the day. But I was thinking then again, in terms of that ticket, well, I have a rock that was manifest. So does that make it extra special? I don't know. Is it just another mundane rock? Is it no significant difference other than the fact that it was gifted through paranormal means?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and it's all intrinsic value, really.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
so-
That's just it exactly. And, I've got buckets and buckets of agates. Sorry, I'm a little froggy.
but you don't have buckets and buckets of that agate.
No, I just have one
Yeah.
of those. So I don't know if I lost it or not, ladies and gentlemen. I sure hope not, because that was a very special thing for me. But I will go out tomorrow and see if I can find it. I know where it should be. I just don't know if it's still here. So the one thing is I was raking leaves, but the other part of it is that rocks don't rake real well. You can't really get rocks to move very well. I've tried it many times. All right, so
Oh, hey.
what?
One of our chatters said, enjoyed your thoughts on Bigfoot. I agree the government, ours and any other one, will not tell us the truth because they don't think we can handle it. Two, because they have lied for us for so long, we wouldn't believe anything from them. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. That was Nellie in the chat
Nellie,
room there.
thank you, Nellie. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
I don't know. It just stands to reason to me that there's got with anything that like that, the only reason they wouldn't let us know is because they're able to utilize it in some way for themselves.
Right.
Is all I can think. And you have to think in terms of power, and is there some development, scientific development that's going to give an edge somehow? I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can come to in my mind. Again, I know it's way out there, and I don't think that anybody in the Bigfoot community would say that the government doesn't know. I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, because
that the government knows.
Well, there have been so many people that we've talked about that talk about the culling by the government.
There's been some,
and
yeah.
yeah, and like I mentioned, the theory that after Mount St. Helens eruption, that they were working with the Bigfoot, a Bigfoot guide, to find possibly injured or whatever Bigfoot. So yeah, that definitely points to a cover up, or at least nothing ever being said. So
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, but thank you, Nelly. I appreciate that. It's really cool. It's just me going way out on a limb and just sharing something, but it's nothing. It's nothing I can put a finger on. It's nothing I can corroborate or quantify to any level. But it's just like, why? Why? What would be the reason that they wouldn't want people to know? And so that's the only conclusion I've come to yet, but I guess time will tell. I don't know. There's MCAT's in there. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
MCAT's here. Yeah,
good
he
to
said
see ya.
something about a white paper sent to the journals. Which journals? Like Scientific America, or what kind of journals? But they never picked it up, so it doesn't really matter. So
I think I read a portion of that, MCAT. I think I know what you're talking about. And it was submitted by a scientist, I thought back in the 50s or 60s, and it was just largely ignored if we're talking about the same thing. But yeah, very, very wild. Hey, Naysay's in there.
Yep,
Mr.
Naysay's
Megaphone
here.
Man. How you doing, brother? Good to see you here. Renee is here. Ruthie. Doc is in here.
Yep.
Deb's in here. Omar Corona. All right. Orochimaru. Oitashimaste. Regla. Hey, Regla. I'm just looking through the names.
yeah, Dee's here, Pixie's here.
Aw, good.
Yep. Geez, yeah. Nellie Moen. Yeah, hi. Regular's here. You already said that.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got
Bob
Bob Ross
Ross.
is here. Bob Ross.
Hey, Bob Ross.
How you doing, buddy?
It was good when you called in,
Yeah,
Bob.
I
Thanks
love
for
that call. Yeah,
was
absolutely.
awesome.
Let's see. What? What?
I'm going to read it. This is too funny. Omar Corona says, have you ever heard a story about a teleporting fart?
Oh, no.
What in the hell's wrong with you, Omar?
I think he's been affected by Donisms.
You've been long-bearded, Omar. It's bound to happen. It's known to affect a small portion of the audience, but long-beardism can spread.
It's like those ticks that were genetically
Oh, my
mutated
God.
to carry diseases amongst the
Yes, yeah. It's a different kind of parasite.
Gemini Moon's here. Lewis is
Aw,
here.
Cool. Hi, guys.
Gosh, there's a lot of people here. Lady Death, if we didn't say
Oh,
her.
lady.
Yeah, Diana. So
Love you guys. Thank you
and
so
Danielle,
much.
Spirit Walking
Danielle.
Kelly is here. Danielle's
Kelly.
here, yeah. Gemini Moon.
Yep,
Yeah,
you said
it's
that about
been
3
a
times.
great, wow. It's a great turnout. I'm just awesome.
It
I'm
is
just,
wonderful. Thank
honored.
you guys for being here.
Hacker One is here. Yep. He Middle Georgia. Is that like a middle kind of? Never mind.
I don't know.
We're not going anywhere with that.
All right.
All right. So anyhow, back to the show.
Well, we've already been doing the show. Don.
Oh well, back
This
to
is continuing the show.
Okay, to continue the show. Just a bunch
All
of
right.
shout outs.
I apologize. No, this one's coming out of Chile. I don't know. He's apologizing for English at the beginning, so I don't know how good this is going to be. But I can try to read it. All right. I'm just kind of screening it a little bit to see. Jeez. He makes out sound effects. He phonetically writes out sound effects. Wow.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. It's a long one, but I'll try to read it if you guys are interested. This is telling a story about a hospital. So, I'll try. Try to do my best to be understandable. My name is Barb, and I'm a medical technician in the south of Chile. Work that has different meaning in some countries, but let's say my work is having the lab testing done, running the place, and informing of the results. I apologize for the large introduction, but it's necessary for you to understand my story. and my predicament. It's a very isolated job. I work usually with another technician and one auxiliary one on standby, and that's it. We lock ourselves in the lab at 8 a.m. and emerge at 5 p.m. and sometimes a lot later. In larger hospitals, we work with as many as 10 to 12 medical technicians by the laboratory, but in the little rural hospital I'm at now, it's just me in charge of everything. My career began working in large hospitals, but I took some replacements in tiny hospitals in my country called Type 4, and I fell in love with the idea of living in the country doing that work, so I moved with all my cats in a very tiny town in the lakes area of Chile. And I left the big hospital of Concepcion for the tiny hospital of Frisia. All went okay for a while, but I've been here for about 7 months, and I'm really worried and maybe desperate. The place is ideal in many ways. It's quiet, green, and low-budget living. I live happily with all my cats and made new friends and enjoy my work, but there's something that I hadn't been able to shrug off, and it's poisoning my work and my general life. When I was in Concepcion Hospital, I guess it's Conception Hospital. I'm giving it this worldly touch every time. It's Conception Hospital. I made night shifts, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., alone with the technician in the urgency section of the lab. A great room with all the equipment and lab tables. The room faced the hallway and was parallel to us, going from the main hallway of the floor to the end of the lab. Hematology section, dark and deserted at night, just across the hallway and facing my urgency section. It was the MedTech lounge. It's funny how we grow to know the sounds of our equipment makes. And I was there for almost a year, and I could recognize just by the sounds if the equipment was working correctly or not. Usually the architect equipment and biochemical testing automated machine made a, and here's where it goes, pert, pert, pert sound, PRT. Pert, pert, pert. Okay. I was almost lulled by it, my back to it, my left to the door as I was seated in the tall lab stool, checking the results of the computer when my technician made a sound, a half-choked sound, like she swallowed something, and I started. She was sitting across from me, and something moved by my left. I saw the back of a man purposely standing in the hallway. And it was a medium height, half bald, and wore a long coat. He was looking forward and vanished in the dark of the hallway. I looked back to my technician, ready to ask who was that guy, and knew something was very bad, and she was absolutely hysterically crying. I jumped up from my chair when I realized that nobody has nothing to do in the deserted parts of the lab at 4 a.m., and I don't know if I'm going to be going chasing or what. And I just felt a rush of adrenaline with a strange dizziness, and then the architect made a loud, startling rip. My blood coagulator in front went beep also, and the room became a pandemonium. I've never seen all the equipment went crazy like that. I set off the alarms and checked them trembling. It was like a low voltage failure, making all the darn things to reinitiate, but they were wired to different lines, and I was yelling, "What was that? Who was that? What's happening?" And my technician stood there simply not saying a word. I finally realized that I'd seen a ghost, and I felt like fainting, and everything was gray, and my heart pumped really hard. My technician, an older lady with 40 years in the same hospital, sat with me and gave me sugared water and told me when I was clear that was a doctor who used to be the old manager of the lab, who had died not 20 years ago, and that I was the only one of the staff whomever had seen him. Other colleagues had seen him regularly passing to his office, which used to be in the hormones room next to the hematology. I was scared as hell. I didn't want to cross that hall to go to the lounge. So I stayed there all night working, even when it was a slow night. In the morning, I ran home and waited anxiously for my next night shift. I only commented this with a colleague who said he had seen the doctor and, too, a patient in the stair at night shifts and generally patted me in the head. Just patted you in the head like,
It's okay, don't worry.
it's okay. I was so shaken that I barely could work at night and clutched my poor technicians for dear life. I spied the hallway and finally managed to forego the issue and got back to a more or less my usual self. Okay. About 3 months later, I was working with a different technician when suddenly the architect went pert, pert, prip, bam, prip, bam, bam, prip, prip. I don't know what the hell that sounds.
A whole bunch of weird noises.
Weird noises. I'm just trying to do it justice. I almost fell off my chair, panicked. I had never heard those sounds before and assumed I'd done something terribly wrong. I stopped all functions and checked the historical for errors, and it said a temperature error. It was silly since the temperature was very mild, not over 22 Celsius. And the equipment worked well up to 29. I reinitiated the whole thing, and then I heard a crash. I went to the hallway and checked the hematology room, hormones room, and urines room, and there was nothing. When I was coming back, the light went out. Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
I was facing the far end of the hallway, my back to the hormone section. The buzz of the refrigerator stopped. I waited for the hospital generators to start, but I felt cold, and the doctor came to my mind. And all I could do not to freak out was to stay there, eyes open, waiting for the lights to come back on. I didn't even find my voice to call the technician. Seemed like an eternity, and then the lights came back on, and I went to the emergency room, or the urgency room, and not looking back. My technician was white as a sheet and panting. She told me it was nothing, and I went to restart my equipment, and I was proud of myself having been calm and calming my technician, but several weeks after, I heard she'd panicked because she saw the doctor just before the lights went out, walking down the hall to the labs I was in. Yee.
Youch.
I was so badly shaken hearing that, I changed my shift that night and began, and it became one. I don't know, became one what? If not the main reasons I went searching for a new job. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I thought later it was stress and enclosement taking its toll on me. Locked in the same place for 8-hour shifts, sometimes as many as 8 or 9 by the week. And it was only natural I wasn't my usual self, so I was happy coming to this place, running this little laboratory. That was until 2 months ago.
Oh.
I run a tiny biological or microbiological section, which is about the size of a closet. And really, sometimes I prefer to come back Saturdays or Sundays. My work is Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 hours, or 8 to 5. And to transfer a bacteria to accelerate the exam. And it is no bother, and it takes only 15 minutes and can save a day of pain for the patients. I came back 5 Saturdays ago to do the transfer, and I'd just given, I'd just been given internet in my lab, so I was searching the web for some lyrics and pages, and I lost track of the hour, and when I came out, it was beginning to get dark. The lab has beautiful deep windows that got all the sun all day, but the big hospital hall just beyond my door is very dark and large and tall. Each extreme lighted for big stained glass windows converted into offices with more sets of glass windows. There's wooden seating places against some walls, and in the middle of the main entrance, closed since 5, and the uplifted walk to the wards where the patients sleep. Usually is a little red light there from X-ray section, which is left on at night. I opened the door, turned to close and let some bags I was carrying to the floor, and noticed someone in the hall. My first thought that it was somebody cleaning, and after I put on the lock, I turned to say hi. There wasn't anybody. I walked there thinking it may have opened an office and was cleaning into, but there was nobody. I turned around and peeked into some offices, and there was nobody there. I looked into the files office room, a room that, like the lab, got all the light, and heard a distant pounding. It was the same sound, and I listen every day when patients come to my attention window. That character pounding with the nails in glass. I don't understand, but was very faint, and it took me a moment to identify it, but I knew I was alone in the whole hall. I sprinted to the wards and spoke to the paramedics there, and they confirmed there was nobody down there in the hall. I said nothing more, but I was shaken, absolutely terrified, and went home. I just I just told to the dentist and the kinesiologist, whom I am friends with, and they laughed at me. I don't know what to do. Surely can't be every hospital is haunted. How can coworkers joke about it? I feel like I'm going to have a breakdown. Next thing it happens, and I can't let my fears show in front of patients and coworkers, and some of them should come to me for help. So, yeah, I think the reason people can joke about it is because they have to. That's like
It's
really
their stress relief.
Right. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
You laugh because if you don't,
You'll cry.
right, or
It'll
you'll
drive
just
you
be
nuts.
absolutely terrified. And
Yeah.
you can't live your life afraid. So I think it's important to laugh if you have to. It's important to process that somehow because, I mean, when you're in a situation like that and you've got to continue to be in that situation in order to make a living.
Right.
I mean, that's a tough place to be. But I would suspect, and this is something we throw around every so often on the show, but when somebody has activity in several places, now granted there are a lot of medical situations, but maybe they're ending up turning on some ability in themselves. And so they become beacons of sorts.
Right.
Now it's no mystery or it's no secret in the paranormal that I forgot to light these candles. It's no secret in the paranormal that gifted people tend to attract a lot of spiritual presences.
Right.
They just do. Could you grab me that?
Yeah, it's over there.
Over here.
Yeah, right where you
Oh
put
yeah, I put it there.
it. Yeah, I think so.
No, you lit the
Oh,
candles.
maybe I did put it there. It's not the point. It's right there behind you.
I
over
got
your
it.
left shoulder.
I'm gonna light it. I'm gonna sit here basking in the glow.
I point that way, and he's actually that way.
But it's where I'm gonna see you, right? Yeah.
He's
It's
actually
like
there.
that clown.
Not there. It's
I'm
that
with-
guy there.
I'm with stupid. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think you're stupid. You're a brilliant
You
guy.
said something? What? I didn't even notice.
Well, that wouldn't be the first.
What?
Exactly.
My bottle deported twice tonight.
Did it?
Yeah.
Where did it deport to?
Apparently the floor. I don't know why.
So
I'm
this-
not on the floor yet.
Still too much bottle left to be on the floor,
That's
huh?
right.
Nice.
Wow.
But yeah, I think laughter is a great coping mechanism. Oh yeah, look at my glow now.
Yeah.
I look like I've had some sun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you were out rolling around in the leaves.
I'm getting a furry chin, ladies and gentlemen, not because I'm actually imitating Mr. Longbeard.
Because you can't.
I can't grow a beard. The problem is ever since I had that tooth infection, my jaw on my left side, lower jaw, there's nerve damage from the infection, and I can't feel it. So it scares the hell out of me to shave my chin because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be filleting chunks off if I do it. I just can't feel it. So I'm just going to grow a goatee until I get one of those electric ones.
We're gonna have Brent cheeks for their specialty items.
Oh. Want a slice of the portal?
Here you go, you cheeky dog, you.
Get a little slice of the portal.
Wow. Hey, can I read a case file?
I would love for you to read a case file, Don.
Analysis of two experiencers' clothing worn during an abduction, Salt Fork State Park, Ohio. So this is a
Is that Betty and Barney?
no,
Oh, a different one.
no.
Okay.
This is even modern.
Oh, nice.
So on
I was going to use the bathroom, but now that you're
Yeah,
started,
yeah.
I got to stick around for this.
says on August 29th or 30th of 2014, two men were on a fishing camping trip at an Ohio State Park, Salt Fork, Cambridge, Ohio. D can let us know where that is. The older man, 43, was accompanied by a young man, 19, who was a friend of his daughter. Oh, it's one of those stories. The older man is a construction worker who owns his own business. And by those stories, I mean the man is letting the boy know the rules of the girl, dating the girl. God, you guys are so wrong. The older man is a construction worker who owns his own business. They were camped by the lake shore with chairs about 2 feet from the water and would routinely stoke the fire every hour. Wow, they're really stoking that fire. There was no one else in the vicinity. Late in the evening, the two men saw a light low in the sky. It moved back and forth to treetop level. About 1:30 a.m., they heard a shrill woman-sounding voice. It should be noted that many of the stories of high strangeness abound Bigfoot hauntings, UFOs at Salt Fork. So there's what they're saying is lots of reports of weird stuff at Salt Fork. One, there is a cave in the park with a waterfall where a girl supposedly died. The men became increasingly nervous. After about 1:30 a.m., the older man's wife and daughter could not contact them. The men have no recollection of what happened for 3 hours. They became aware at 5:19 a.m. in the morning. The fire was out. The men grabbed their belongings, changed their clothes. As the older man changed clothes, he noticed his shirt was inside out. It should be noted that no alcohol was in their cooler, only water. It's because the ice melted after they got done drinking the beer. There are 2 objects of analysis. The first is to identify any stains or spots left on the various pieces of clothing for anomalies, which may be related to abduction. Second is to compare these results to 2 analyses, one done on the dress Betty Hill wore during her abduction, and the other done on an experiencer's t-shirt worn during an abduction in Winnipeg, Canada. Well, now there's an interesting idea. I would have never thought to cross-analyze Betty Hill's dress.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty smart. Wow. And there you go. So there's the case file. So they're interesting.
Very cool.
Yes.
Do you have anything else, or is that it?
Oh, you know what? Well, there's. I'm sure there's more here.
Because I do want to use the restroom.
Oh well, please, yeah.
But I did want to listen to you, but then I got kind of sucked into Matthew in the chat room wants Paranormal Portal underwear. And then Renee says thongs.
Well, but the thing is, though, is they'll keep you from doing anything freaky.
Don sounds disappointed. Yeah, but they won't let you do anything freaky
unless you experience missing Tom.
We can always produce the Longbeard Manty hose.
Manty hose. Straight from Don's basement.
Thank you.
Manty hose.
I better get on camera. Thank you. Oh my God! It's just going down the toilet, Pixie. It always ends up there eventually. We sometimes just push the curve a little earlier.
Welcome to the paranormal powder room.
Yeah, it's the paranormal toilet. Yeah, paranormal potty. Wow. I've heard that a few times, but you never know. You never know.
Oh wow!
There's all kinds of gear we could create for the Paranormal Portal, I suppose. But so far we have T-shirts. If you guys are interested in that, go to paranormalportalradio.com. That's always an option. You too can be emblazoned with the most excellent logo in all of podcast and radio.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. I love our logo. I mean, it's long, but I just love the way it looks. I don't know. What was your hand gestures? What was that?
Look at my hat.
Oh, were you pointing at your hat? Yeah, the hat is there too. That's right. You too can get a Paranormal Portal
real
hat as worn by our own Mr. Longbeard. Very cool. Not that I, always want to pimp our stuff.
There are things coming. Keep watching.
There are. I've got a few ideas.
ParanormalPortalRadio.com.
Yeah, ParanormalPortalRadio.com.
Oh, Pixie just typed it right in there.
All right, so can you read another thing?
I was waiting for you to read
I'm sorry, I just had I had to get on and talk about the Paranormal Portal underwear because that was hilarious. It cracked me up.
I'm going to take a paranormal poo.
Hexer said it was quiet in the bar, so he thought he'd throw it on the Paranormal Portal up on the TV.
No way!
Cheers. If you got them, drink them. Don't forget to tip your waitress and bartender. Thank you.
Too bad you're not on camera.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to tip your waitress and bartender. This is a professional production, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can say.
Let me show you what a real bottle looks like.
Oh, yeah. Don will take a long pull on this will. He's toasting with you guys. If you're listening to us from Haxer's Bar, then you are definitely in the right place. And
wow.
My opinion of the place just went up.
Yes, definitely.
I didn't even know there was a bar attached to Haxer, but now I know. So, all right. I'm going to run the loo. Don, you have the cons.
Oh, boy. I'm flying the ship now, people. Watch out. You're in the deep ship now.
He did say ship.
All right, let's see here. Alien encounters. Alien encounters. Let's get back over here. Possible ET experience or encounter in New Lexington, Ohio. What? D. It's because D's in Ohio. That's why. Let's see. So, background. The following case was submitted to the investigation team on May 11th, 2018. So, this is this year. The witness is seeking advice and help from those with similar experiences. Due to the nature of the story, along with the evidence, this is not investigated for now. This was not investigated for now by the team of investigators, but it's being added to the database for informational purposes only. If anybody would like to add their opinion, yeah. Witness testimony. The following was submitted by the witness. Okay, I'm new to any personal ET experiences. I just sort of encountered what I think to be an ET. So I have 6 new photos on my phone, which are all semi-similar. Wow, semi-similar. All were taken in my backyard, and they have headlights from mine. And they have headlights from mine and my husband's vehicles, the neighbor's busted up fence, the street light in the distance, and part of our sidewalk and yard. Nothing too odd, right? You'd think so, at first. Now, let me explain why this is odd. My husband works third shift, so he always leaves at least 10 minutes before he has to be at work. He lives really close. So basically around 11:50, 11:48, 11:52. When I discovered these pictures initially, I was already startled, considering they were the last photos I had taken, and even more so to discover that they were taken at 11:54 on this day. We left a bit earlier than usual, so it was around 11:56. I remember specifically looking at the clock when we arrived at my husband's work because we were mid-conversation and I didn't want to take up too much time so he wasn't late hitting the clock. The clock read 11:58. He literally works 3 minutes from our home. If you get stopped by one light, that is between there and our home. If you get stopped by the light, 3 minutes, okay. I know this because I've timed it, but to save everyone any argument, you don't even have to consider the time. The second thing we found odd was that in the photo, you can clearly see headlights. We don't start the vehicle until we're both in it. And I was the one driving. With that being said, I turned on the vehicle. How could there have been headlights in the photo? Now remember, the photos were taken at 11:54, and they got in the car at 11:56. The third thing that I found extremely odd is that my phone, A, has a fingerprint pattern lock, so it has biometrics, has a wallet-type phone case in it, the ones where they flip open and inconveniently cover your camera lens. Okay. I've not clicked the do not show this box again. That appears every time I open my camera. So it would have had to have been bypassed in order for the camera to have even worked. D, front facing camera, would have had to have been clicked if that was what took photos. Okay. There were some consecutive photos taken, which would mean that the button in any case would cause the phone to take a photo, would had to have been held down in order for this to happen. Either way, I didn't intentionally nor accidentally take these photos. Since I found it odd, I was beginning to examine the photos and found things I think to be ET or other dimensional. If anyone could help figure out. Now, they show the pictures here, and I got to tell you, the only thing I see are blurry photos. It does look like there's like some headlights. They're pointing towards some headlights. Actually, what it looks like headlights reflecting off of street signs, white street signs, like merge or not merge, but slow. A speed check by radar, and then the next one says speed limit is. Yep. So it's like two white. It could look like headlights, and I think that's what they're talking about. But the real strange part about this is she says that these were taken at 11:54, and according to her clock, they didn't leave until 11:56, which means it was taken 2 minutes before she started the car.
Right.
which could just simply be because your phone says 11:54, but your clock in your car says 11:56.
Telephone home.
I don't
Telephone home.
I don't think it's extraterrestrial. I think you just have a problem synchronizing your clocks.
Telephone home.
Oh God, there he goes.
I love that show.
Oh boy.
I love that show a lot.
I'm sorry, did you say idiot?
No, Elliot's.
Oh.
It's hard to do the L's.
A lot.
I let's make it go home.
Oh, please.
Sorry. I'm just saying, it's classic cinema, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
And you're getting a little dose of it here on the Paranormal Portal.
Well, you're back now, right?
In my front, too. Thank you.
Okay, my turn. I gotta go. The reason is because we had a little Paranormal Portal dinner powwow.
We had a paranormal buffet.
Oh God, it was so
the
good.
missus cooked up a feast.
And there was no misses in it. It was good.
Don didn't miss a thing.
A little of this, a little of that, and a little more of this and that.
That's all right. That's what it was for.
All right, so I've got to run. You.
All right, you go take care of business, ladies.
Take care of your
ladies and gentlemen,
picture.
you're stuck with me.
There you go.
Don's going to go adjust his paranormal potty. All right, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to go full paranormal up in here. I think we've already been doing full paranormal, but I hope you guys are enjoying the ride. I think that there's so much material out there, so many ideas, so many topics that are. I'm going to mute Don's mic because he's sitting right by the AC, and it's hissing in my ears, so it's distracting me. Now, this one is a different, it's not quite as long, but I hope it's a good one. Let's get into this one. And apparently, I love the ones that start out with, "This is a true story." Like, yeah, I'm just kind of going with they're all true until I know otherwise. I don't think we've ever shared anything on the show that, seems too far out there for the most part. Sometimes we hit a story here or there that's just like, oh man, it's just clearly the result, in my opinion, just clearly the result of somebody just trying to, do some creative writing and some really strange embellishments and such. But most of what we share on the show, I think at least, is plausible in the realm of the paranormal, which there are many would say that's not at all plausible. But if you are willing to invest in the idea that the paranormal is plausible, and if you're here listening, I assume that you do, then hopefully what you're hearing on the show at least makes sense. I don't think we ever go really, really far out there. But there's a lot of really incredible claims. And again, not all of them, none of them are wrong, but none of them are right either until we know better. So it's all on the table here on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into this one. So this story, which was submitted as of 2007, takes place 15 years prior to that. So quite a long time. But this is, one day I come home and find paramedics on the living room floor trying to revive my grandmother. 20 minutes prior, my mother had entered her room and found her with her mouth wide open and a strange look on her face. After trying to rouse her and getting absolutely no response, she called the paramedics. Paramedics tried for about an hour to revive her, but to no avail. We were informed that since she may have been dead for much more than a 15-minute limit, which CPR is considered effective, and so she was declared dead, and shortly thereafter, officials from the coroner's office arrived and took the body away. Several hours later, I muted you, sorry. It was with you gone, the air conditioner was just...
Oh, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Several hours later, after returning home from our relatives after informing them of grandmother's death, we opened the door to our apartment and, much to our disbelief, noticed on the floor in the middle of the living room was a white pigeon. At first, I was terrified. Then my mother told me not to worry, but that was abuela, Spanish for grandma, and that she was trying to send us a message. It calmed my nerves a bit, though I still decided to take a trip to the grocery store while they dealt with this surprising guest. My grandmother had professed interest in the supernatural throughout her whole life. Often as a child, I'd go to her after dreaming in the night before and ask her for the meaning behind my dreams, and she'd proceed to tell me, for example, I once dreamed I was running from an angel, and she later told me not to worry, that it meant that I was being taken care of by a higher power. But her uncanny abilities weren't limited to dream interpretation. Once she told me that the Mets would win the World Series after trailing and coming back, and gave me a final score, which was very close to the actual final score. We no longer live in the apartment, and it goes without saying, however, that I still get chills whenever I think of that day. Was it my grandmother trying to send a message from beyond? I'm convinced that it was. Wherever she is, I'm sure that she's happy, and I'll never forget our encounter with the bird 15 summers ago. So very cool. Those I think are very healing kind of things. You know, when loved ones pass, it's of course incredibly painful. Again, I just recently, this last spring, lost my father, and it's a tough thing. You know, I don't know. There's so many questions that always remain, and so many feelings and thoughts of what was never said, what could have been said, how it could have been left. But I had a dream recently where he visited me, and it was incredibly powerful. And my father in life was a very stoic man. He was just very strong. He wasn't the huggy, lovey, cuddly kind of person. And I knew that he loved all of us very much, but it was just he really abhorred showing weakness. He never would show weakness, would never show that, because, you know, in his measure of what it meant to be a man, that was just never what you did. Now, in the dream where I saw him, it was like I don't know, it was like seeing him, but seeing him like I never saw him before. He was happy. He was engaging. He was welcoming. He was, you know, he was my dad was the kind of guy who go, I used to live apart from him even as, 18, 19-year-old, and I come home and over a weekend after being gone for a few weeks, and he'd be like, "Hey, Dad." And his one-word answer was always, "Yep." It was just like, "Come on, can't you say hello?" You know, when seeing him in this dream, immediately he put his arms out, you know, just this engaging, like, you know, "Come here," you know. And so I hugged him, and it felt like him. It smelled like him. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like I was experiencing this with him. It was very cathartic. It was very healing. And I've shared it, of course, on the show a little bit before this, but it just happened last week. But it was like seeing the person that I was always looking for in my life and knew was in there. I didn't ever doubt that he loved us and was, you know, caring. It's just that he oftentimes wouldn't show it, because to him that didn't portray the kind of man he wanted to be or thought that he was.
Right.
So it was nice to have that experience in my dream and that healing moment. And then he shared some things with me verbally, which all I can tell you is it felt like he was kind of breaking the rules, sharing them with me. Like there must be a set of rules or something. Like he really had to work to share the thoughts. Like I had to really coax it out of him for him to share what he wanted to say, but I knew he wanted to say it. I don't know how to explain it, but he did. And he shared some things with me, which of course are private, but I thought were incredibly profound. And it was just a really cool experience. So I think those kind of moments when the people that we love come back to us in some way, whether through symbols like this bird in the story or in dreams that are, you know, incredibly lucid and real, that it becomes so powerful, so healing, and so affirming that there's more, that this isn't it. This is not the sum of our existence. It was just a infinitesimal fraction of our true existence, our true reality. So just sharing that with you guys, throwing it out there. You know, I guess over the course of the show, I've shared quite a lot of my experience, but it was never my intention when forming the portal to make it about me or what I've been through. But I found through the course of doing the show, at first I was adamant about never sharing anything about me because I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about us and about this topic. But I found that sharing these parts of myself, I get emails, I get messages from people going, thank you so much for sharing that. That was really cool. And it really helped me come to terms with some things I've been dealing with. So I've opted to do that more through the course of the show, simply because it's helped to establish a stronger connection with you guys out there that, you're seeing a part of me that in my real life, I'm a very private, quiet person.
He is very quiet. Yes.
I mean, you can vouch for that, right, Don?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That I don't.
We don't like people. We don't like to get close to people. We just don't.
Well, I don't even think that it's that. It's just that I like my solitude. I like to be, I'm very much a hermit in my personal life. I don't need lots of distractions or lots of things
going on.
Yeah. Right. I don't. In fact, I'd rather spend a quiet night at home than to go on a vacation. To me, I enjoy vacations when I go on them. Don't get me wrong. I've had some wonderful vacations in my life and been to some extraordinary places, but always in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm ready to go home.
It's time to go. I like my couch.
Yeah, exactly.
I miss my doorway.
Right. You know what I mean? So, I don't talk like I talk to you guys. I don't talk that way in my personal life at all. I'm a listener. I smile. I help where I can and try to be a good person in every way. But it's just been nice to hear your guys' feedback when I do decide to share something that it has impact because I'm sharing it with you. Yeah, it creates a connection. Exactly. I guess I can bring you back on, right?
Oh, you don't have to. It's all right. Well, dang it.
You're part of the show now.
All right.
But it's part of building this community, this family that I really believe in that we have. Not necessarily just having you on screen. I'm talking about sharing.
No, I'm laughing at something Doc said.
Oh, Doc.
Doc says it's on his bucket list in life to get drunk with Brett and Don. It'd be really...
now included.
As a matter of fact, weren't we talking about that a little earlier?
Where we?
You said somebody said something about we're gonna have to get drunk and do the portal. Oh, it was if we ever got drunk and did a portal. And I said the only way that would happen would be at a paranormal portal gathering.
Right.
And then,
that would be good. I'd love to do a paranormal portal conference sometime.
Yeah, sure.
Somewhere in some centrally located area where everybody can make it to that's in the U.S.
Which means that Brent and I can't leave Idaho because we don't like to go places.
No, in that case, I would really like it.
Right. No, yeah.
That would be a little different because it'd be like meeting family.
Somewhere in Colorado.
All you guys, I mean, honestly, I consider you guys a part of my days, a part of my life. When whether you're reaching out to me or you're just sitting back and listening, I just feel a connection. I think that's very powerful. And I would love to meet all of you guys. I would love to sit down and have these talks in person. And, one of the greatest pieces of feedback that I get, and I'm sure you've heard these too, Don, is that people, when they're listening to the show, they feel like we are around a campfire, like we're just having a talk among friends. And that's what I hope always that it will be, is that comforting, place where people just feel like they're kicking back and unwinding.
Right. Yeah. Let's light this fire and kick back and talk. Let's have a talk. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's what a paranormal portal party would be too.
Yeah. It'd be like a bonfire.
Doc Kayak says
with a keg.
Yeah, with a keg. Devil's Tower, Wyoming. Doc says.
Ooh, that would be a good place. You're right. Could we get up on top? I don't know. Can you even get up on top? I don't know. Without rock climbing, because that's not happening ever in my life.
Well, I'm sure we know people who do different types of jobs. Maybe somebody does.
Maybe somebody
has a helicopter.
Yeah, charters helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. So but Devil's Tower would be awesome.
Oh no.
Could bring the night vision binoculars and let people look at the night sky. That'd be awesome.
Sure.
That's got to be on the bucket list, ladies and gentlemen. And as the show grows, things like this are more and more of a possibility.
Doc says, yeah, people can get up there. I've climbed it. Well, you have fun there, crazy guy.
Yeah. You go ahead and you can GoPro it for the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. We'll live vicariously through your GoPro video.
Maybe I'll drone it. Oh, yeah, we're on top now.
Hey, look, there's Doc. Wave. Yeah. How you doing down there, 11 stories?
Yeah, look at him fall after he waved. That guy should not have waved.
Pixie, he should keep both hands on his line.
Yes, you should.
Pixie says, "I'll bring the nunks and beans," of course. Goodness.
So is nunks is that code for hot dogs now?
I don't know. Weenies and beans, weenies and beans.
It'd be like meatballs and never mind.
Oh, what a strange brew.
We are so broken here, ladies and gentlemen. We are always circling a drain of sorts.
Oh, anyhow, but yeah.
You can never say that the Portal is a dull show. I mean, regardless of what you may think as we talk and as we say stupid things, you can never leave this show and say that it was boring. Oh, especially when you're here, Don.
I know.
It just brings to life a whole new level of our experience here on the Portal. So
there you go. Huh.
D says Brent and Don's Nunks and Beans.
I'm sure they're on sale at Costco too, right?
They will be. They'll be coming on sale at Costco. Just wait. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Too much juice. Yeah, maybe. Anyhow.
You know what they say.
Doc says nunks are Rocky Mountain oysters. I saw this meme today.
No.
Never mind. We're getting off the subject.
We're circling the drain. All right.
Wow.
Rock climb with us. MCAT. The only rock climbing I'm going to do is
climbing my butt up on that rock and sitting there.
Be more. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to climb on the little rock next to it and sit down and watch you guys go up the whole thing. There was a day in my life where those things were possible, but after many, many knee surgeries and a body that's been through hell, it's like, yeah, those days are long gone, and I'm okay with that. I did a lot of. I can't say I was a really, really active person in my life, but I wasn't a sedentary person either.
Right.
But those days are long behind, unless they come up with a whole new classification of genetic research where they can, give me a shot and give me my 20-year-old body back. Then,
please, yes.
Then we're in game. Then it's game on. Game on.
We're doing this again.
Yeah, but as it is, like I said, I'll GoPro it. You can GoPro it for me, and I'll play the footage.
There you go. Yep.
Anyway, but that would be fun. That would be a wonderful thing to do, and I would love to meet you guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And I don't know if MCAT was here when we were talking about it, but MCAT, we sure are sorry that we were not able to get together this week. Yesterday, that would have been just awesome.
Yep. Yeah, we were really sorry to miss that opportunity, brother. And if you know you're coming this way again, give us a little notice so we can put something together. But the next time you're this direction, we will definitely get together with you and
yes,
and sit down and have a heart to heart.
Yeah, there you go. Even if it's at the Flying J, right there at the state line, we're cool. Well, you know what else is next to the state line too, don't you? Never mind. Yeah. Oh, it was a Tuesday too, so.
Is that coupon night or something?
Get one, grab one free.
Just bring lots of dollars. Oh, Don.
Making it rain.
Oh, I'm going to just get on to the next story here. Have a peculiar but very true story. I used to run a paranormal group up until about 10 months ago. Approximately a year ago, I was involved with a family who contacted me via email regarding a paranormal investigation in Virginia. A lady who I was talking with was terrified, and she initially contacted me. She told me that her family and her were being haunted by a demon. Over the next few months, she and I communicated via email on a day-to-day basis, and I'm a paramedic and work nights, so it's not uncommon for her to email me in the middle of the night to tell me she was taking her family to a hotel because of the absolute torment they were living with. The entire family were punched and scratched on a regular basis, and they saw black shadows and growling and a lot of activity such as this every day. One night I was at work and responded to one of her emails, and my response was, "We are going to have to get a priest involved." I had no idea how that one sentence would change my life. I left work the next morning, and as I was driving home, I felt kicking in my back through my seat. And I knew it wasn't merely a bump in the road because it was swift and hard. My hair was pulled a few times also.
Wow.
And I felt the presence of something in my vehicle, which continued until I got home. Excuse me. After arriving home, I took a bath and then lay in my bed to read a book prior to going to sleep. And within 3 to 4 minutes of getting into bed, I heard what sounded like scampering across my floor. And then it jumped on the end of my bed. And I get a sense that it's small, about 2.5 feet tall, and it's bipedal, and it follows me everywhere. It has never talked, but it does poke me all the time. It makes noises in my house, hides objects, looks out of the bedroom. It absolutely tortures my cats at times and scampers across my bed regularly when I'm wide awake. I live with a friend who, thank goodness, has been witness to many of the occurrences. She has been scratched and has had her covers pulled off and hears strange noises daily. And I say thank goodness because of her being a witness to these things. That means I'm not crazy. I don't claim by any means to be psychic, but I do have a profound intuition that seems to run in the family. And I get the feeling that it's an imp type of demon. I think that it is in some type of hierarchy in the demonic realm, but it is what I consider the bottom of the chain. It doesn't physically hurt me, and although it had me completely stressed and terrified when it initially arrived in my life, I have accepted, or I've adapted rather, well to it being here because I've had no choice. When I talked to someone up north about getting help with this thing, I suffered greatly. In fact, while I was speaking to the person on the phone, his dog was literally attacked while we were speaking.
Wow.
I feel this thing spies on me. It sounds crazy. I realize that. But the minute I reach out for answers, it runs back and tells on me to its superiors, and they get back at me by doing things to cause me fear, extraordinary fear. I'm almost 40, and I never thought anything like this was possible until it happened. Actually, it continues to happen on a daily basis. I even fear that when I try to submit this, it will keep that from happening. I've read several stories, and I think there are people out there who have given great responses and insights, so I'm hoping someone can help me. Well, what I would say is just continue on your original thought. At that point, with demonic things, dark, horrible presences like that, it is a battle. I mean, there's just no way to phrase it any other way. You are engaging in a battle of sorts, and it's a battle of will. It's a battle of attrition. It's a battle that you're going to have to invest an awful lot of yourself into, and that's why it takes extraordinarily profoundly passionate and dedicated people to be exorcists and demonologists, because you have to be willing to look into the absolute darkest gullet and find comfort in that or exist in that while you assist people that are absolutely hysterically terrified. If it is truly a demon, and there are worse things out there, but demons just tend to be one of the more profound ones. But if you are indeed dealing with a demon, I agree that you're right. It is a hierarchy of sorts, that they have these little drones or imps or whatever you want to call them, and they control them to do their bidding or to cement their hold on someone because they need to feed off of that.
Yeah.
But you are in for a hell of a battle.
No pun intended.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's true. I said it without thinking of it, but yeah, it's no small act, and it's no small activity. It's not like you run through the house with sage, say some nice things from a Bible, and it's done.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, those can be tools to help, and they can certainly lessen. Like sage is a great thing for just lessening a negative field, like minimizing it at least, or helping to mitigate it. for a long term and to help people come out of such a strong oppression, or even not so much possession, because by the time a possession has occurred, you're late. Well, not too late, but it's late in the game, and it's a whole different level of battle at that point. But if it's truly made an attachment or possession, then you're going to be in it for a while, and there's no guarantees it can ever be won. Because as I've talked on the show, my feelings on this, and I'm not a demonologist or an exorcist by any measure, but I have dealt with some dark things, which I will never talk about because it's certainly never going to be the focus of my show. But I will tell you that it changes you. It changes you on a very deep and profound level. And all I can say is only people that have dealt with the darkest things, and I can't say I dealt with the darkest things, but it was dark enough that it was a journey that I had to go through for a matter of years to totally get rid of. But it is something that you have to be invested with, and you have to find people. Now, I've said this on the show. My feeling as to why some exorcisms are successful and some aren't is that an exorcism is an extension of someone's spirit. Mm-hmm. And you are dealing with people that might have a hell of a lot of skeletons in their closet. Right. They might wear a robe. They might have a collar. They might have a title. But they may not be anything like the person they're portraying themselves to be. Right. And they can recite a ritual, and they can do it convincingly. But if they are not coming from a good place in their hearts and a pure place, they're not going to be effective. And you need to, make sure to check into who's going to be helping you through this, and make sure that they have some kind of pedigree to them. Because by virtue of just being affiliated with a religious body,
doesn't make you right.
It does not make you
righteous.
Right. It doesn't make you righteous. It doesn't make you pious. It doesn't make you holy. It just means that you've invested time and energy into getting a title. Honest to God, it is. And so the internet is full of people making fantastic claims about what they're capable of doing and what they can help with, and when they are in no way suited to do that. And so if you do have a dark thing in your life and you are dealing with it, just do your homework. Make sure you're checking into who's going to help you, because the wrong person doing it can make it a hell of a lot worse as well. So that's my 2 cents on that. And I'll leave that there.
Bob Ross says, when I sage my house, I always hope it's not making my house plants paranoid. What are you saging your house with, Bob? He's burning Phil. No, not Phil.
I knew Phil. Damn you.
Phil was a good man.
He's got stress plants.
Damn, they killed Phil.
It's possible, ladies and gentlemen. That's hilarious. You just never know.
It's kind of like when you ask me, did you put oregano in this? It's like, what kind of oregano?
Oh, my God.
I had to explain that to Brent. He was like,
I didn't know there was a code for oregano.
Goodness.
I didn't know. I had no idea. Like I said, I lead a sheltered life. I don't get out much.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. Oh.
So, anyway, by the way, I just remembered Diana Daniels Orcutt said that she wants a paranormal T-shirt for her possum. Paranormal Portal.
Just get an extra small.
We'll get you a Paranormal Portal hanky or bandana.
Maybe. Yeah, let's see if we can get a bandana with it on there. That should be pretty easy. Yeah,
I'm sure we could.
There you go.
That would be easy enough for all your pet needs.
Ruthie C knew my code. How come you didn't know my code?
Like I said, I don't get out much. I don't know all your street lingo.
Street lingo.
I don't know. I grew up in a rural place.
Oh, Bob Ross is playing the Paranormal Portal drinking game.
Oh, is he? What's the keyword?
Every time Brent says paranormal.
Oh my God! Paranormal.
I knew he was gonna do that.
How do you like me now, Bob?
Let me just take a swig.
Hey, it says.
What is
it? It says Bill.
Bill?
Bill.
No, not Bill. Bob.
We said Phil, not Bill.
Maybe it was. Oh, Bob, do you have a plant named Bill? Tell him we're really sorry.
Yeah. It says Bill, B-I-L-L.
Wow.
Finally, you say something.
It's about time.
Thanks for participating.
I didn't hear it at all. Is it plugged in?
No, it is. I heard it in my ear. That's what made me look.
I didn't hear it at all.
Bill.
Bill.
Like that. I was like, what was that?
What?
It says Bill. We're not burning Bill. We're burning Phil. No, it's it's the sage. It's the name of the sage. It's a joke. There you go. But again, it's not totally off. You know, it's something that seems to tie into the conversation.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think most every time. Then one other time, Sarah was talking, and we ended the show, and it said Wyoming or no Montana, didn't it?
No.
Is it Wyoming?
It was Wyoming. Yeah.
Wyoming. Okay. I forgot where Sarah's from. Sorry.
And then we were talking about somehow lab dances or something. And
yeah, it said refund. Yeah.
Tractor.
Yeah, tractor.
I wonder if it meant train.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll just leave that alone.
Yeah. There it is. It's getting all long bearded up here.
Wow.
Craziness. Wow. All right, let's get through another one here. If I can find another one.
Uh-oh.
All right. Not quite a ghost story, but seconds from it. I don't know what that means. My younger sister has previously worked in a nursing home, same as myself, where she lives in Canada, and I was in a UK nursing homes. And one day we got chatting about ghosts and paranormal. Drink. And she said she had an awful experience once. It was about a man in his last living moments. One of the residents she cared for on a day-to-day basis had something of a bad character. All his life he was mean and nasty and rude to whomever he was in the presence of. Like me, my sister will not back down for people. One day this resident played up something dreadful, which turned out he was in the last moments of his life and started panicking and asking for the help of a priest. My sister followed the priest in and said she was overcome with terror at the atmosphere. It was heavy and dark feeling. The whole room just breathed a nasty air, and she felt absolutely scared. She was also the same as me. She is also the same, just like I am. Any bangs or strange goings-on, wherever we are so nosy we go and investigate it. But this room with the dying resident was in terrified her. She actually ran out and told the matron she will never go in there again. The resident was screaming for his life and asking to be saved from something nobody could figure out what. Another carer who was present said the moment this resident died, the atmosphere cleared. My sister has never experienced anything like it since, and she's now an EMT, paramedic, and seeing all sorts of this still haunts her.
Wow.
And this still haunts her, mainly because she cannot explain it. I haven't experienced this in the 8 years that I worked in nursing homes, but do have a ghost story of my own, very mild, as in not scary. But that's the end of the story. So,
well, that ties in with the EMT stories we were reading last week, and how there's a lot of things, and I have to believe that if there are people that are going to be seeing things of that nature, it's going to be people who work with people near death or whatever. So
right, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, maybe it was just setting her up for the life that she was going to, the work that she was going to be doing in life.
So the takeaway from this one, ladies and gentlemen, is be nice.
Be nice.
Be kind. Take care of each other.
Absolutely.
Do something nice and helpful.
Oh, no chicken tacos, no.
Chicken tacos?
Yes, no, never mind.
Oh.
You can read it in the chat tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks. Yes, I will. I will definitely rescreen all of this. I wish we'd hear more. It just said Bill.
Yeah.
No, that's it. But just one spike, and then the word Bill came through. So if that means anything to you guys out there, I think it's just a play on what we were talking about Phil.
So does anybody in the audience have an uncle named Bill?
Yeah.
Bill starts with a B. B
Anybody?
sounds like B. May sound like ill. Maybe Phil. Oh! Your uncle. Like, I'm channeling my inner John Edwards.
Oh, yeah, well, one of those is enough. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the beauty of Deb, and she's going to be on the show on Friday doing free call-in readings to listeners of the show. So the call-in number that you see on the screen will work on Friday. I forgot to mention that for any new listeners. Our Wednesday shows are just YouTube only, so although the screen says call in live or dead, it only works to call in live or dead to talk to us on Friday, Saturday.
Right.
You can talk to somebody if you call in now, but
I'll tell you who. Complaint line is open.
yeah, so if you have a complaint about the Paranormal Portal, please call that number tonight. Wednesdays only.
3998.
Yeah, 213-233-3998.
Operators are there waiting to speak to you.
Yeah, operators are standing by. That will work, of course, on Friday. But if you haven't heard Deb before, she doesn't do the 20 questions. She doesn't do do you take the K letter in a name? Does the name, K name, mean anything to you? And it's like, well, everybody has a K name.
Yeah.
Kevin, Keith, Kitty, Karen, whatever.
Kitty from that 70s show.
Yeah. Kenny is what I said.
Oh, Kenny.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Kevin, Katie. Yeah, you said Kevin, Katie. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, to do that is just a psychological game, in my opinion. Not to say they have no true ability at all, but it just sounds like such a banter shtick of a magician rather than an actual psychic.
Right.
And by magician, I mean, stage magic, not true magicians. But it's kind of been played out by a lot of people. And if you listen to them very carefully, if you understand psychology and you look for triggers, what is that movie, Now You See Me? Or whatever that had the magicians in it.
Yeah. It was now You See Me. Yeah,
they look for cues. They look for these throws, these tells of the people to dial it in. And I don't think that that's any different from, like, say, a John Edwards. And now the one good thing is that for many people he's given them hope, which in and of itself can be considered a wonderful thing. However, he's cashing in on that hope, and and to me, it's just a stretch. It's just a strain, and I don't mean to disparage the man. If he is truly reading, then I'm absolutely thrilled. But it just doesn't play that way. But Deb doesn't work that way. She just says, "What's your first name, or what do you want to know?" Do you want to know about money? Blah blah blah. It's two questions, and then she just goes and she does her thing, and she does an amazing thing, and has been incredibly helpful and instrumental in helping so many people on the goodness of her own heart.
Right.
She also does do private readings, and you can certainly get in touch with her and schedule your own. If you'd rather not call into the show, you'd rather have more of a private reading, then please reach out to her. It's purplemysticreader@gmail.com. purplemysticreader@gmail.com, or look for Purple Mystic Readings by Deb.
That's right.
On Facebook. And you can find her page there and get in touch with her that way.
Absolutely.
But she will be on the show on Friday, and we will be really looking forward to that. Don, unfortunately, won't be here, but
it's going to be a long day.
It'll be a long day for you.
Thanks for you guys reminding me that I have a long day on Friday.
Just be here right now, Don. You're here now. That's where you need to be.
Be here now.
But that'll be coming up, and then Don will be rejoining me on Saturday for the Saturday edition of the Portal, then the following Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, on Halloween, we're going to do a later show. Woo-hoo. It's not going to be at 7 p.m. normal start time for our YouTube only. It's going to be at least an hour later, like 8 p.m. Pacific time start time, and we will be joined by Philip Torres, the Obake hunter from Hawaii, and he will be bringing a whole bunch of treats and just some really cool things that haven't been done before that I'm aware of on a live show. So we're going to get into that. And if you're not familiar with Philip Torres, check out, he's been on the show a couple times, but Haunted Hawaii is his channel. Haunted Hawaii, hosted by Obake Hunter,
there you go.
is his channel on YouTube, and you can check him out or find him on Facebook as well. But he'll be on for our Halloween edition here on the portal. And then the only other show I have scheduled
Shell Dion.
I got Naysay is going to join me on November 2nd. We're going to have a show with Naysay,
Nice.
Mr. Kevin Shores. He's been a longtime friend and contributor to the show.
Mr. Megaphone in the chat right now.
Megaphone Man in the chat, yep. And he'll be on the 2nd of November. And then the 3rd will be joined again by Miss Shell Dion, who will be on to talk about wolfmen and wolf people and dogmen and the distinction of them. And it should be an amazing show. She was on before and brought some really cool things to the table, some of which I'd never heard before. But she clearly has put the boots on the ground and been out there and done some really cool things. So she'll be on, and we'll have a show about cryptids.
She'll be on.
Shell Dion will be on.
There you go.
So, and that's about the show tonight.
Wow. Some days I don't like our chatters.
Why?
Because Diana keeps digging me. Baki's going to send Melissa to Don so he can take her out trick-or-treating. No.
Yeah, depends on the trick.
She might end up in a plastic bag sealed away in my basement freezer.
Yeah, I don't even think Melissa would want to go there. I've never even been there, and I've been over to your house a few times. Not sure what goes on down there.
Nobody does.
Yeah,
My roommates stay out of there.
It's like the Roach Motel. If you go down there, you might never leave. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that about wraps it up for tonight. Be good, be kind, be nice, help each other out, take care of each other out there, and we love you so much. And thank you for doing all you've done to help spread the word about the portal. You guys are nothing short of amazing. We truly do love you. This is our family, and we're so thrilled that you're a part of it. So thank you so much for that. Find us on Facebook if you're not already following us there. It's facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. We have a Twitter. It's at Paranormal Portal, Portl. And you can find us on MeWe. Don's on there on his Longbeard page. I'm on there. And he's got an Aether Archives group that tends to get together and chat. And usually the show after chat is on MeWe, where Don will sit back and chat with y'all. So
that's right. As I'm driving down the road doing voice chat.
Yeah, don't say that out loud. But he's doing voice chat, ladies and gentlemen. It is voice chat.
It's hands free.
Yeah, so it's not dangerous. I just don't ever want to promote texting and driving because that's certainly not what we're doing. But he's very responsible. He's a good driver. I even trust him, and I don't trust many people driving.
I don't trust me.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I'd take my license away.
I've been relaxed whenever driven around, but never mind.
Now he's going to be holding on to those bars like, oh, shit.
Exactly. All right, so that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. But thanks again for being here, being a part of the portal, and we will see you on Friday night with Miss Deb Varner. Again, free call-in readings, so get ready to call in. If you call in early and hold the line, please.
Yes, hold the line.
Because the queue fills up really fast. And now here's the thing. If you call into the show, Deb's format is, what's your name, what do you want to know? If you hear a silence, if you're calling in and you're getting a reading, don't worry. It's okay if there's no sound. It's just Deb doing her process. She gets in and she says what they're saying. They are her guides. She communicates with her guides and gives you guys messages. So all I can tell you is that I've gotten so much feedback from listeners who've called into Deb, and they're all praise. They're like, "Oh my God, that was so amazing! Thank you so much for having her on the show. It was just amazing." I've never had anybody ever get a hold of me and go, "That was a waste of my time. What are you doing having her on the show?" I mean, everybody is just amazed.
Yeah.
I'm amazed listening to her, and I've had the pleasure of seeing Deb do this, dozens of times throughout the course of her appearances on the shows. Yep. And every time I'm just like, wow. I just sit back, and it's a pretty easy show for me because all I have to be is a receptionist. Deb, line 1. Deb, reading line 1.
And we have John on line 3.
Yeah. Hey, Deb, let's move to line 3 where Pete is waiting for his reading. So, I mean, it's a great time, but she's amazing. That's just her process if you call in to get a reading. But I just want to let you know, if you want to make sure to get a reading, call in early and just hold the line, because there's no saying how long each reading is going to happen. I'm never going to tell Deb, look, you have 5 minutes to do a reading and then it has to be done. I'm never going to do that to her, nor to you guys, the listeners. If somebody's reading is taking longer, just trust that whatever they're getting is what they need to get, and Deb is giving them that. So, but please be a part of it. It's an amazing experience. And again, you can schedule your own reading with her if you'd rather have a private one. And we will talk about that more on Friday night. So for now, love y'all.
Aloha.
Aloha, mahalo, whatever else words. Arrivederci.
Love you, bye, lady. Love you, lady, bye.
Salamat malam. Hasta luego.
Oh,
Buenos noches. I don't know. I'm thinking of all the see you laters. Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see you guys, but love you.
See you later.
I've got the wrong screen up. Oh, it's over here.
Oh, it's over there.
Well, that's where I put it.
And the portal continues. Bye.
See you guys.